Hi, my name is Maya, author of Fit and Fabulous Over 40 and creator of the 3X Fit 90-Day Transformation from MayaMFitness.com. And in this video, you'll learn why you might not be losing weight. It could be your hormones. Seems like you've tried every diet and strategy known to man, but the pounds just don't want to come off. You're 2 steps away from what could be a life-changing moment, or at least an eye-opener. Be sure to stick around to the end of this video to learn how to prevent your hormones from stalling your weight loss. Now let's get into it. Unfortunately, our bodies didn't come with a handbook, but I think they should have. You have it in you to live the life you want and to have the body you want to fuel it on its journey. You just have to know how. So let's talk about hormones. Hormones are your body's messengers. Hormones are made by the endocrine system and are a chemical messenger that hold both the instructions for an action and are the key to unlock the process. They determine reproduction, metabolism, mood, growth, every process our body engages in. And they rarely, if any, work in isolation. One hormone triggers another action that acts on another that counters another. So it can be confusing and overwhelming sometimes. The importance of balancing hormones cannot be overstated. If you aren't losing weight despite all your efforts, if you lose weight and it bounces back, if you are hungry all the time, it's likely hormones are at play. The good news is hormones in general are largely balanced in the same way. So listen for the symptoms that resonate with you and look for the ways you can balance your hormones so they work for you rather than against your goals. Leptin. Leptin is the satiety hormone. It's called the satiety hormone because it reduces your appetite and helps you feel full. It tells your brain there's enough fat in storage and no more is needed, so you won't overeat. It's made in fat cells, so the more fat cells you have, the higher your leptin levels may be. One study showed obese people have 4 times much leptin in their bodies. You think this will reduce appetite? Too much leptin has the opposite effect. Leptin resistance results from too much leptin and the brain's inability to read it correctly. The brain thinks you're starving and pummels you with hunger signals. If you have leptin resistance, you find you're always hungry and gaining weight because the calories get converted into fat and sent right to storage. Also, losing weight causes leptin to drop, and that can also trigger feelings of urgency to eat and make your body hold on to the weight. This is one reason that sometimes we plateau or even rebound after initial weight loss. So here's how to balance leptin. Avoid inflammatory foods, especially sugary drinks and trans fats. Eat anti-inflammatory foods like fatty fish. Get regular exercise. Be sure to get enough sleep. Supplementing with alpha-lipoic acid and fish oil can also help support leptin sensitivity. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone. It's easy to remember if you think of a growling tummy. An empty stomach signals ghrelin to tell the hypothalamus that you're hungry. Your levels are the highest before eating and the lowest an hour after. In people who are overweight, studies show that after a meal, ghrelin only decreases slightly. So the hypothalamus receives only a weak signal to stop eating, and overeating occurs. To balance this, avoid high fructose corn syrup and sugary drinks that impair ghrelin signals. Eat protein with every meal, especially breakfast. And eat fiber. Cortisol, your stress hormone. It's produced in the adrenal glands. Cortisol is correlated with stored weight around the middle area, especially in women. Cortisol is vital to survival as it triggers the fight or flight response in times of danger and stress. Unfortunately, this isn't as helpful as you would hope it would be when dealing with chronic stress. You may not actually be under attack, but your body thinks it is. Budgets, laundry piles, deadlines, that never-ending to-do list all look the same in your body and acts as if it would to a predator or a fire. Elevating cortisol can cause weight loss or gain. The difference is insulin. In the absence of insulin, cortisol triggers Hsl, hormone-sensitive lipase, to release fat from cells to use for immediate energy. You burn fat. But in the presence of insulin, cortisol triggers LPL, lipoprotein lipase, to increase fat storage and contribute to insulin resistance. You stubbornly hold on to fat, and weight loss becomes next to impossible. An important note about cortisol: you cannot sustain weight loss if you are not sleeping. Chronic sleep deprivation leads to adrenal fatigue, or HPA dysfunction, caused by overproducing cortisol. Cortisol resistance can occur and you will not be able to regulate levels. You need to invest in a sleep routine and allow yourself time to get some Z's, or you will not be successful on your weight loss journey. Not to mention other serious health detriments. To balance cortisol, eat a balanced diet, real food, not too low in calories. Do meditation, like purposeful pauses in your day, and breath work. Listen to music and sleep more. Store fat or use it. Hsl and Lpl. Like many hormones in our bodies, there are many that work in opposition of each other. Hsl and Lpl are two of those. To illustrate what they do, I'll use a food analogy. You have an apple. Will you eat it now or make applesauce and eat it later? It probably depends on how many apples you have. If you only have one, you'll probably eat it. If you have a whole case of them, you might make applesauce and store them because you can't eat them all before they go bad. Now consider that you eat an apple. Will your body burn the energy now or save it for later in fat stores? Hsl. Hsl, the good hormone, stands for hormone sensitive lipase. It's located in the fat cells, and it makes them leaner and breaks down the triglycerides, stored fats, and releases them to burn as energy. With Hsl, you are eating that apple or cracking open a can of applesauce to eat. Fat stores are shrinking. The insulin suppresses Hsl and keeps the fat locked away in those jars of applesauce on the shelf where they can't be used. Lpl, let's call it the bad hormone. Lipoprotein lipase is the hormone that deposits fat from the bloodstream into the fat cells, making them larger. It shoves those apples right into the jars and puts them on a shelf and stores them for later. This leaves less energy for other cells to use, so they signal for more food. It's like saucing all the apples, and now the kids want an apple, but there's none left. That's what's going on here. LPL snatched and stored all the energy, and the cells are saying, what about us? Eat something else now. This action causes us to overeat, and we get fatter because more and more keeps getting stored. Without HSL, LPL will gladly keep packing the applesauce on the shelves until your pantry is bursting. Insulin is the ruling hormone that decides when to play HSL or when to play LPL. Insulin is the hall monitor and most important regulator of the fat. It's produced in the pancreas beta cells and secreted in small amounts throughout the day and large amounts after meals. It directs the traffic in the blood by moving sugars and fats into cells and for use and for storage. Think of it as the hall monitor in the bloodstream, moving sugars and fats into an assigned classroom in an orderly fashion. It uses LPL and HSL to accomplish this. We can only handle 1 teaspoon of sugar circulating in our blood at any given time. Any more than that has to be stored or burned ASAP or damage occurs. The classrooms are the storage cells, and as the hall monitor, insulin, continues to nag, the classrooms insist they are full and they won't take any more. This causes elevated sugar levels in the body. Why is this a big deal? Well, your body can only handle 1 circulating teaspoon of sugar at a time. All the rest of it has to be used, glucose used for energy, or converted to glycogen, the storage form of sugar. We can only store 400 calories in our livers and 1,400 calories in our muscles, less than the energy needed to operate for 1 day. The rest is converted to fatty acids and stored as fat. So insulin is busy trying to get sugar out of our bloodstreams, but glycogen stores quickly fill up and leave nowhere else but fat stores to move it all to. In this process, it shuts down our ability to burn fat. The problem occurs when insulin is chronically elevated. If you're eating the wrong foods and eating them all the time, insulin is constantly on call. But the fat stores, the classrooms, are crying out that they are full and start to ignore the nagging hall monitor insulin. This is called insulin resistance and leads to diabetes type 2. So insulin, the bossy hall monitor, will get the job done any way it can. Side note, thank you to Utah Natural Wellness for these great analogies and facts, and shout out to Kristen, the nutritionist therapist. Okay, so back to insulin. Remember, it signals the LPL, which is bad, and makes your fat cells larger, or signals the HSL, which is good, and makes your fat cells leaner. They determine the action of cortisol, your stress hormone. Insulin can put a lockdown on fat stores that assures you will not be able to burn them. So insulin suppresses HSL, the good, and triggers LPL, the bad, to increase fat storage and contribute to insulin resistance. So let's restate that. Insulin can make the bad hormone worse and shut down the good hormone. So you don't want to have chronically elevated insulin levels. You simply cannot burn fat in the presence of insulin. Insulin sensitivity is everything. It's important not to flood your body with sugars on a chronic basis and not eat foods that are unnaturally high in calories, causing an intense insulin response. We want to do everything we can to hear the hall monitor before she starts nagging and yelling. Anything we can do to increase insulin sensitivity will pay off in almost every system of the body. To balance insulin, do the following. Avoid or minimize sugar, reduce refined and starchy carbs, eat protein and good fats, exercise regularly, and also magnesium can improve insulin sensitivity, and experiment with a longer time between meals, like intermittent fasting. We have more control than we think. Type 2 diabetes is a preventable and treatable lifestyle disease. Any condition that can be caused by food can be treated with the right food. If you're finding value in this video about hormones and weight loss, be sure to watch 10 steps to keeping the weight off. So now let's move on to the estrogen hormone. If you're experiencing menopause, you definitely want to pay close attention. Estrogen is produced in the ovaries and adrenal glands. Having too much or too little can put a halt on weight loss and can even cause weight gain. The effects depend on factors such as age, actions of other hormones, and overall your state of health. Overweight women tend to have higher estrogen levels than women of optimal weight. Some researchers support this due to environmental influences. Estrogen dominance is prevalent in our modern society, saturated with chemicals. Exogenous estrogen, those made outside of the body, bombard our systems and throw the endocrine system off whack. Estrogen dominance can lead to suppressed thyroid function, increased fat storage, impaired blood sugar control, and other health risks. To balance estrogen, increasing fiber in your diet can help reduce and normalize estrogen levels. Give preference to cruciferous vegetables for extra balancing properties. Eat clean whole foods free of pesticides and chemical additives, organic or non-GMO. Exercise regularly. Even light movement every day, like walking, can normalize estrogen levels. Progesterone is the hormone that counterbalances the action of estrogen. If you suspect that you are estrogen dominant, it could be worth your time to talk to a doctor about starting a progesterone cream. Okay, so we just covered some of the hormones that affect metabolism, but the important thing to know is that if you're struggling, there is likely an imbalance. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the bell icon for weekly content. Drop me a comment below and let me know what challenge you're facing so we can tackle it. Be sure to watch the next video and download my free weight loss guide. Until next time.